Hey everyone, what's going on? This is E-Rock. Super excited to be interviewing some legendary people and iconic individuals in the media world. We're going to be interviewing folks from an organization that probably needs not too much of an introduction. Many of you are probably fans. It's for the Mickey Mouse Club, and they are about to celebrate their reunion event in Florida, their 30-year reunion. And so we're wanting to revisit with some of these individuals and discuss their entrepreneurial endeavors since then, and some of the things that they've learned and taken away through their journey by being a part of an iconic organization, and how that's benefited them today, and most importantly, how it can benefit you with the wisdom that we hope to glean for them today. So one of our first guests, and this all couldn't happen, of course, with the event and executive organizers, none other than Dale Goodboldo and Chase and Hampton. So they're here with us today. We're going to get some great content from them either today and or in future interview segments. But right now, we want to highlight Mickey Mouse Club member, none other than Jason Miner. Jason, how are you?
Man, I'm doing great today. How are y'all doing?
Awesome. So would you mind sharing quickly your story, your journey on how you became a Mickey Mouse Club member?
Yeah, absolutely. I originally auditioned when I was like 9 or 10. I lived in Maryland, would travel back and forth to New York for different auditions. Originally, like I said, around 9 or 10. I'm not a big guy, as Dale and Chase can attest to, and I definitely wasn't a big dude at 9 and 10. And so the original one came through, and they were like, yeah, you know what, maybe you're just not ready yet. And so was fortunate enough to then do 2 national tours with different shows, and one of them, Matt Casella called who was the casting agent at the time, called my manager and was like, hey, you know what, it's been 2 years. We're hoping Jason might have touched puberty or hit puberty at that point, so did he grow at all? Is he ready? So on and so forth. And so did the casting call out in Dallas while I was on the road doing a show. And next thing I knew, a few months later, they said, hey, we want you to come to Orlando to do the screen test. And I think that was sometime before Thanksgiving of that year. And then the show I was on went to Broadway. And while we were still in when they would come in and do like New York Times and everybody would come in previews, they called and said, hey, we'd like you to be starting season 3. And oh, by the way, it starts in early January. And I was like, well, dang, I just got to Broadway. But man, did all that and was super excited. And that's kind of the short history of how I eventually got there. So was super excited then, and look back at it now, it's kind of a cool time in my life.
Well, one of the things we've been able to ascertain from some research is that being a part of that organization, the Mickey Mouse Club, and obviously in conjunction with Walt Disney, is there is some significant behind the scenes training when it came from, media skills, entrepreneurial based skills, business skills. What was one of the most important lessons that you got from that experience that helped you to get where you are today?
Well, I would say first and foremost, and I don't mean this in any difficult way, I learned how to protect the shield, so to speak, to protect not only the image of Disney when we were there as kids, my own image, how to build that brand as I went on through the rest of high school and into college and doing other things such as that, how to have business conversations as a young person, to understand that side, meaning negotiations, non-negotiations, who to trust, who to glean other ideas from and just sit back and listen. And so from there, it kind of, in my opinion, and on my side, really helped build a business understanding beyond the creative side of that as well, to understand that to survive, you need to be able to diversify your talents, whatever you've been given, beyond artistic talents, to further some type of career, whatever that is, in the future.
So let's talk about where you're at and what that's led to for you today. So would you mind sharing with our audience and our viewers and readers a little bit about what your experience with being a Mickey Mouse Club member has led you to where you are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm kind of separate creatively than everybody else right now. I'm a wealth manager for a small company called Janney Montgomery out of Philly, even though I reside in the deep south, so to speak. What I can say is from that experience, it led me to a whole bunch of different avenues, both creatively and business-wise, in the sense of was in a band for a while with Blaine Carson, is what I called him, just Carson. Did that and traveled, and again, kind of that opportunity to get in front of people, to learn things, and to be comfortable on stage, both live and in film. It allowed me to move forward in what I do and how I communicate with people. And truth be told, I use it as kind of a talking point when people ask, what have I done in the past, and how has that shaped my future? So it was a huge step, both creatively and independently from that side of me to where I am today.
Well, that's amazing. So obviously, there's a lot of people that are wondering, how can they themselves be successful, build a business of their own, being a successful entrepreneur. What would your one tip be to an entrepreneur, business person who wants to be successful in today's age of technology and media and social media?
The one word I would always use, and I use it with kids when I sit down and talk with kids, is hustle. Never stop hustling. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way whatsoever. But what I mean is, and I can probably attest that Dale and Chasen will say the same thing, is as soon as you slow down and stop, somebody else around you, no matter what you're looking to do, is working harder than you are. And if you sit on your laurels, then it won't get to where you want it to be. So I tell everybody, you got to consistently hustle and understand that great reward comes from those who put in the hard work.
Well spoken from a gentleman who talks about investments, right? Invest your time, effort, energy, and you will have returns and dividends, right?
No, yeah, absolutely. And I think you got to get to a point where then you have to find the balance. I mean, when you're building your business, whatever it is, any type of business, when you're building it, it takes a lot of effort on the front end. But I think hard work on the front end then will allow you to, live the way you want to live. Hopefully you can find comfort in, I've built something and I like it, and I want to share it with others in whatever way that is. But now it's time to, spend time with those that have been with you along the way, and find people that have that same passion that you have, but also know how to step back and enjoy it while you're doing it, so that you just don't become the person that all they ever care about is picking up the phone and making a dial, and don't worry about the people around them or the environment around them that they're affecting.
Awesome. So the last question I want to ask you today, Jason, is why is it important to you to participate in the Mickey Mouse Club reunion event, the 30-year reunion? And what would you tell someone why they would want to attend if they were interested in coming and being a part of the event?
Gosh, what a great question. Well, first of all, the importance to me, to be selfish in my answer on the front end, was the ability to be able to communicate with everybody face to face, as opposed to via text or Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat. I mean, truly a individual reunion, to sit down and press palms and give hugs to everybody. I think the nostalgia of what it was, I've been fortunate to meet people over the years when I was traveling and performing that would say, oh my gosh, I remember seeing you on the Mickey Mouse Club when I was a kid, and you have no idea how that affected my life and made me think I could do whatever I wanted to do. Didn't matter what background I came from. And, so I think the awesomeness to come down and see it and be a part of it, have those conversations. Hey, we're real people. We were kids just like everybody else was. And we just got ridiculously blessed to be on such a cool show and such an awesome opportunity as teenagers. And so to come down and be a part of the reunion and ask these same questions or different versions, or maybe me answering your question spurns a different type of question that somebody else wants to ask, we're going to be there. We're going to be in their face. We're going to share that experience with them, hopefully, and they enjoy the entertainment value of that in addition.
So last question, and I'll end with this, is if there was one person, right, that you're obviously associating with some very famous people, right, some very successful people, but if there was one person that you've yet to meet in the world, right, it doesn't have to be Disney or Mickey Mouse Club, but you're like, man, I'd really love to meet this person, who would that one person be?
We talking still alive?
Yes, still alive. Because you never know
Okay.
if they're going to read this or see this, and they're like, maybe they would want to connect with you.
That's a great that I would want to meet right now. Gosh, I haven't been asked that question in so long. I'm usually asking other kids that, and mine have always been historical figures. Man. Entertainment wise, I would love to meet Quincy Jones or Berry Gordy.
Awesome.
I think their influence in music, the people that they met and built up, both from a marketing standpoint and a talent standpoint. I would just love to pick their brains one day that said, hey, when you saw, if we talk about Berry Gordy, you saw any of the acts, Michael, the Jackson 5, Smokey Robinson, all those kind of guys. What stood out? Was it the work ethic? Was it just the God-given talent? What was it? And then when you get to Quincy Jones, okay, so you took somebody on some of these that were already successful, how did you break into it to make them think, hey, I can take you to a whole different level from where your success already is? And how did you communicate to that? Was it your God-given talent that they just said, gosh, we need to collaborate? Or was it just how you could read people I'm fascinated with immense God-given talent people have. And I just want to understand, like, how did you communicate to others that's super creative and say, look, I can take you to a different place, whether you want it to be creative, you want it to be popularity, whatever that is. I've always been fascinated to want to meet the two of them.
Awesome. Jason, thanks so much for your time. You're welcome to stick around for the rest of the chat. If you got to get back